For the banded dislocator, we're going to be putting our shoulders through a big full range of motion. We're going to begin at the front of the hips, going all the way overhead, and ultimately to the back of the hips. If when you're first learning this movement, you don't feel comfortable with, or you're just not able to get all the way back there, that's okay. I want you to stop where you feel comfortable, and I want you to stop before you get into a position where you're not in control. Again, this is a great movement for full shoulder range of motion. It engages the shoulder blades, allowing them to retract while maintaining tension throughout that movement. Great for developing range of motion for overhead movements, or even for more extreme movements like the snatch. It feels good. It even gets a little bit of a stretch in the front of the shoulder and the chest. This movement's going to start out very similarly to our overhand version of the band pull apart. The hands are going to be a little wider than shoulder width, thumb and fingers wrapped around, wrists are straight, not bent back, arms are extended and straight, feet are about shoulder width apart, squeeze your glutes to lock the hips in place. We're going to take all the slack out of the band. We don't want to start with this with a band have slack. We're going to get that rubber band or that slingshot effect. Take the slack out, start at the front of the hips. From here, we're going to pull the shoulder blades back, belly breath, we're going to bring it out in front of our body. We're going to keep outward tension on that band. As we go up behind the head, shoulder blades are still back. We're creating that outward tension, keeping the wrists straight and the arms straight out until we get to the back of the hip. Then we're going to come back up, over the head, and back to the front. When you reach the front of the hips again, reset the shoulder blades and initiate movement. If for some reason, like I said earlier, if you get back here and you're like, there ain't no way I'm going to go any further, go ahead and stop right there and start coming forward. A couple of things to look out for. If you get behind the back and your arms start to do this, they start to bend, that's a no-go. I recommend looking at a mirror or having somebody check to make sure you're not doing that, because now your shoulders are in a really vulnerable position, especially if you come all the way down here to the hips. That was already starting to hurt my shoulders a little bit. There's no more connection. There's no tension anymore from the shoulder or from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder. This is gone. And so not only are you leaking out a lot of energy, but now that shoulder is in a really awkward position because everything is bent. Do not let the elbows bend. Instead, as you come up behind, keep that outward tension on that band, pulling it apart. Keep the arms locked out, even at this extreme bottom position, and come back up. I guarantee if you end up bending the elbows every time you go behind your back, you are going to end up with shoulder trouble. This is definitely one of those movements where it could be a really good thing or it could be a really bad thing. All it takes is that little tiny tweak for it to turn into a really unhealthy movement. Again, always begin at the front of the hips. Keep the shoulder blades back, reset them, and keep that outward tension on the band. As you go up and over the head, we also want to avoid bringing our head back or tucking our chin forward or going side to side. We want to keep our head up nice and neutral throughout. If you need to make sure that band's not going to hit you in the head, simply move the hands in a little closer. You can also move the hands in closer if you want to get a little bit more of a stretch from the band from the band as well, because it's going to put more tension between your hands. But that's how you do a band dislocator.